Leadership under attack. The minister's lack of accountability and humility is causing outrage. Secret transfers and empty excuses expose a management that blames everyone but itself. How long will this attitude be tolerated?
We now start with our second round with 5 minutes to Madame Ferreri, s'il vous plaît.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Minister, Indigenous women and girls are killed at a rate 6 times higher than non-Indigenous, and more than half of the cases involving non-Indigenous women and girls between 2009 and 2021 resulted in charges of first-degree murder. But when the victim was Indigenous, police laid or recommended that charge half as often. The less serious offences of second-degree murder and manslaughter were more common. In my community of Curve Lake, Selena Taylor was a beautiful, beautiful girl. She loved animals, and in the words of her sister, she will forever be missed and celebrated. Selena is now another Indigenous woman who didn't make it home after her intimate partner violently assaulted her. Rest in power, my love. That's her sister, Sage Castell. When he was arrested for attacking Taylor, Jordan Morin was out on bail for a separate 2019 attack. And when he was out on bail in the Selena Taylor case, he was arrested in January 2021 for the alleged assault on another woman in November of 2020. As a final sickening coda, Morin was sprung on bail again in February 2021, just 3 weeks before Taylor died. Over the years, he also did 10 months in the slammer for assaulting a Good Samaritan who suffered life-changing facial injuries. Today in the House, your response to my colleague to diminish crime in this country was, you said, and I quote, "We delivered bail reform." What would you like to say to Selena Taylor's family about your bail reform that you've delivered?
Minister?
To Ms. Taylor's family, I would express deep sorrow and sympathy in terms of the fact that Selena is no longer with us. I think that's a horrific crime, and it's a tragedy that shouldn't be happening in our society. What I would also say is that we've been working very hard to try and address violence against women, particularly Indigenous women. That's why we launched the MMIWG inquiry. And that's why we've had the calls to justice that we're working to implement. Some of the bail matters that you mentioned have actually been dealt with in Bill C-75 and Bill C-48, where we implemented a reverse onus on bail for people that commit intimate partner violence, and we accentuated that in Bill C-48. But what I would say to you is that the same thing that I've been saying repeatedly to many different provincial actors is that what I want to know, and I'm sure you want to know as well, Ms. Ferreri, is that the circumstances upon which that individual being released on bail at least twice by your account, what were those circumstances? Did the Crown contest the bail? I would like to know that. And if the bail was granted above the Crown's objections, did they appeal the bail through what's called a bail review? Was bail denied because there was no detention facility ready to take that person? Because what Canadians need to understand is that
Thank you.
a likelihood of reoffending,
I've given you lots of time.
a likelihood of reoffending is one of the basis grounds
same,
for denying bail.
Madam Chair.
And clearly that wasn't accurately applied.
So, you know, I see you wanting to try to talk over this, and it's just, it's beyond insulting what you just said. And, you know, you blame everyone else. You blame everyone else. We saw this with then Minister Marco Mendicino. It wasn't his fault, right, that Paul Bernardo was transferred in the dead of night. He's just the minister. Minister, this is ridiculous. You are the minister. To blame the provinces is just absurd. And your murdered and missing Indigenous women, you've been, you know, the AFN President Cindy Woodhouse has said this failure is not acceptable to our people. You have failed everyone, and you don't take any accountability. You have no humility at all. This is a letter that I sent to you on December 5th, an email, almost a year ago, by Haley Schultz. You were asked directly, repeatedly. It has been brought up multiple times. Her son, Bradley Pogue, was murdered. You have never acknowledged this letter. It is a public letter. I have all of the correspondence. You have said to my colleague today that you are not going to enforce the Victim Bill of Rights. Please, show some humility. Please, read Haley's letter. I will
point
walk
of order,
it to
Madam
you
Chair.
right
He
now,
did not. That's not an accurate
Minister
reflection of what the
Ferrani.
minister said. If she's going to repeat what the minister said, at least have the respect
Would you like me to read the email?
So did you have a question?
My
You've got
question
35
is,
seconds left.
Will you acknowledge Haley Schultz's letter in the murder of her son Bradley Pogue that I sent to you on December 5th? Will you read this if I walk it over to you, and will you acknowledge her?
So Mr. Varani, you have time to respond.
So I'll make multiple responses. So the circumstances of the death of Bradley, Haley's son, are well known to me. I have your letter right in front of me, and I've read the letter, and I've read her handwritten note.
Why wouldn't you
What I
answer
can
her?
say to you is that I feel desperately sympathetic with her loss as a parent, as anyone would, in terms of the fact that her son is no longer with us. What I can also say to you, Ms. Ferreri, is that there are certain things that confine my role. That matter is actually...
Phone.
That
Can't pick up
matter
the phone,
is,
can you?
If I can finish, Madam Chair?
No, Ms. Ferrer, your time is up,
That-
but the minister will
That
have
matter
time to
is under
respond.
appeal right now, and when a matter is under appeal, it would be entirely inappropriate for the Attorney General of Canada to weigh into the matter because it would transgress certain lines
not
about
what your email
perceptions
says.
of influencing the
That's
process
not what your email says.
and ensuring that the sub judice rule is always complied with. Do I feel sympathy for a woman who's lost her child? Absolutely, I do. If I could bring that child back, I would do everything in my power to do so. But there are certain rules that confine what I can and cannot do as Minister of Justice. With respect to your comments with respect to ensuring that the bail system is working, I would simply put it to you that in the context of sexual violence in particular, it is not just me that have decried what's going on in the court system, particularly in Ontario. It is also journalists who have said that we don't have enough courtroom resources, we don't have enough Crown prosecutors, we don't have enough dedication to addressing sexual assault in our system. I can amend the criminal code, but unless it is administered on the ground by provinces, including in Ontario, all of those changes are for naught. We're seeing charges that are being stayed or withdrawn because of delays in the process where the province of Ontario is not meeting the Jordan principles of timelines for trials, and that is rendering an injustice for those individuals. And what we need, including to address those matters, is more resources, which includes more crowns, more police, more courtroom resources, and more detention facilities for people that need to be deprived of bail. Thank you.
Thank you for that response. It was a serious question that was posed, and I think it warranted a serious response. So thank you for that.